Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Gorowski, and I'll be your host for today. You may have noticed that we dusted off our In the Field intro for today because that is where we are heading. We are heading out into the field, and we are doing it with some familiar faces. So many of you have been following for a while with the team from Hearts in the Ice. So Hilde Strom and Sunniva, two seasoned polar ambassadors and citizen scientists. Hearts in the Ice was created in 2018 as a global platform for education and social engagement, connecting students, scientists, manufacturers, environmental organizations, and really all who care about the health of our planet, bringing everybody together in a big conversation around climate change and ways that we can all be part of the solution. So it's been a while since we've had a connection from the field with Hilde and Sunniva. You may remember from September 2019 to May 2021, they spent a total of 19 months living in a remote trapper's cabin called Bumsaboo in Svalbard, isolated 140 kilometers from their closest neighbor. In fact, the polar bears. That was probably the polar bear and the reindeer were their closest neighbors. So we are really lucky to be joining them in Antarctica. So in 2021, they were invited to be the godmothers of the world's first battery hybrid expedition cruise ship, the MS Fridtjof Nansen. So for the first time ever, they are on board the vessel. They left from Ushuaia in Argentina and have sailed to Antarctica. And I'm going to bring them in now. And it's not just them. They have a whole crew hanging out with them today that we're going to get a chance to meet. So here we go. Hilde and Sunniva, how are we doing today?
Hey,
Great.
we are so happy to be flanked by this Rockstar expedition team. And just for a point of reference, because we are way down south, we are at, and this is for all the school kids out there, find us on your map. We're at 6425 south, 6255 west.
So where's
All right.
that?
We will challenge our mappers to see if they can locate you on the map. I'll send those coordinates to the educators after the event as well, so they can pin you down and see where you are.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you. And Joe, if you can tee up that first photo. As you said, we're on board the Fridtjof Nansen, and this was a very special naming ceremony because it happened up in Longyearbyen, where Hilde lives. And we were invited to be the godmothers of this ship, which is it is the absolute biggest honor that you could be in terms of responsibility for a vessel, the crew, and the safe passage for all the guests. So,
And it's a very special ship. It's a hybrid ship built just a couple of years ago together with its sister ship. It's the first two hybrid ships in the world, taking guests and explorers around the world. And right now, being on the other side of the earth from where all of you are is so special, so far south. And we are usually way up in the north, close to the North Pole, and being on board this ship with Hurtigruten and sailing with this magical team behind us is just fantastic.
and it's crazy that in December our focus was on polar bears, right? And
Yeah.
now we're in Antarctica, and it's all about penguins. So for those of you who are looking for polar bears down here, no, they're only up in the north. So we're going to just share a couple of quick photos now of some things that we've been doing on board and that the guests have been doing on board, because there are 340 something guests here. This photo is not from our trip. This is December 14th, 1911. With the first team of 5 to reach the South Pole, Roald Amundsen, a Norwegian. He was friends with Fridtjof Nansen, actually. And we had a little fun. We were camping, and Ursula here, our like a pro camp setup hostess. We decided to do a little reenactment of the Amundsen staging on December 14th. Well, we're kind of close. At least we had a little fun, and we slept in a replica of that tent that they used on the South Pole expedition.
Here we are celebrating.
So this is one way to bring the experience of the early polar explorers and Antarctica to people that are traveling from all over the world, joining the ship, actually.
And the ship and ourselves are trying to encourage and inspire people to become citizen scientists. So we did a lot of science work, both on the ship, as you can see here, cloud observation, and also out in small boats with the science boats together with Laura here in this team. So it's a lot of fun. And this is Miguel showing how to navigate. We have a huge...
I hope everybody has a globe at home, because, you know, that's the best way to learn about the world, unless you're joining Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, where it comes to the classroom, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And using the sextant to navigate the stars and the suns.
And this was amazing. There's, you think of like this is an expedition cruise, but it's not typical, eh? There's so much going on. Guests have the opportunity to actually watercolor, build little clay models. It was very funny yesterday going in and seeing the very different renditions of what a penguin could look like, and does look like. And it's just a way of, you know, we all have so many different ways of interpreting an experience. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's very emotional, visual through the eyes. Sometimes it's just sensory, where you're drawing or you're recording something. So anyhow, lots going on. And that was just an amazing little Gentoo penguin that was created yesterday. And these are people that haven't done grade school. So it's like going back in time and reconnecting, not just with your inner explorer, but your inner child, right?
And here's the phytoplankton net. Maybe those of you that follow us at Bamsebu remember those nets and why we were doing this. It's a big project called Fjord Phyto for Alison Kusik. And the reason why is to understand what's happening to the phytoplankton. And we know by now how important phytoplankton is for the oxygen and also the CO2 carbon.
The lungs of our ocean, eh?
Yeah.
Our world.
Absolutely.
We're gonna turn it over now to a really special woman, and it's like there's two things going on board the ship. Is one, you have the expedition team who carry out all the operations and they work with the captain on the landings and all of that. And then you've got somebody running stuff that is often behind the scenes, often underrepresented, but it's like what makes the ship tick and hum. And we're gonna move out of the way and have Marketa sit here front and center, and just, there you go.
There we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Marketa. I come from the Czech Republic, and I am the hotel manager on board. So anything that has to do with guest and crew cabins and dining restaurants, again, for guest and crew, and the general well-being of everyone, that would be my field and responsibility.
She really do that well, really well. We have been taken so well care of, both the guests and ourselves, and the food is delicious. And it's just like being on a fantastic hotel, floating around down amongst the penguins and the ice, and it's just magical being on board.
The thing that I want to call out, Marketa, is something that a lot of people don't maybe understand, and that is, you know, we're on a ship and your team is on board for many, many months at a time. And there's a lot of work to keep a team together. You know, they're not leaving the ship, so they're on board for an extended period of time. And there's a lot that needs to happen to keep, you know, things humming on the outside, and then a lot of work to, you know, for everybody to take care of each other, something that Hilde and I learned very well, spending 15,000 hours together. And so your job is a really big role, big shoes to fill.
And we become like a family, both the guests and of course the crew on board.
And so it is.
So it is. So,
Team Nansen.
yeah, Team Nansen.
Nansen.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to call up Owen. Owen Hunt and Joe. I'll let Owen tee up the video for you. But Owen, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello. I used to teach geography and geology in the UK, and I now live in Iceland, where there is lots of geology and geography. And the other day, I did a time-lapse video of the ship in the Orne Harbour, and it shows the boats bringing the guests ashore and taking them back. And it also shows some icebergs in the harbour, and one of them actually turned over while I was there. And is he going to put the video on?
You ask.
And if you look at the video, you will see the iceberg turning over. It is all happening very quickly because it is a time lapse, but it does show you what is happening while we're all there. The guests are walking up to a penguin colony, a chinstrap penguin colony, and you can see the boats bring the guests from the ship, the shore, and then when they've seen the colony, they're taken back. And you can see the big iceberg in the center,
And we are there.
two little boats to the right.
Where Sunniva and Hilde actually is on board.
Yes, and then you will see the iceberg suddenly turn over. Those are the kayakers, and there it goes. All of a sudden it turns over and then zooms across. It's obviously speeded up there, and I had to move my camera, but you can now see the other iceberg wobbling.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, a crazy situation that day. And then at the end, a third iceberg at the bottom of the picture also broke in half and drifted away.
Huh.
So 3 icebergs in one go. That was a pretty good occasion.
Well,
so
thank
much.
you so much, Owen. And now we're going to bring in Chris. Is it Silphone? And this, another one of our esteemed expedition team.
Hello, everyone. Greetings wherever you are. My name is Chris. I am actually the marine scientist on board. I am coming from Maui, Hawaii, so very different from where we are now. And I specialize in whales, cetaceans, whales and dolphins. And today, it's been a very exciting day, and I will show you why. I haven't even had time to take the pictures off of my camera yet.
Because this was just now, right?
Because this was just a couple of hours ago. We came across a pod of orcas.
Wow, look at that.
And I don't know if you folks know much about orcas. We have 5 different types down here, and I'm very excited to get to identify and figure out which type this one actually is. This is actually a baby, a young one. But that's kind of what I do on board. Like I said, love to follow and focus on whales, but my background is marine biology, so any type of marine science that is happening is right up my alley, and I will have my hands in all of it.
Chris, just a quick question for you. Have we seen an increase or decrease in certain whale species in the Antarctic?
Thankfully, over the last 50 years or so, we have seen a massive increase in population, in whale population, almost across the entire board as well, not just with humpbacks or orcas, but with minkies, with fin whales, with blue whales. So things are looking up for our whale friends.
That's fantastic news.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the temperature rise is a good, so they're sort of climate winners in this
It's
sense. Looks like it.
It's still up for debate
Yeah.
on whether or not how they will be affected by climate change. We think more so their food is going to be affected, which could in turn affect them.
Totally.
So time will tell, but from the hunting days of whales, their populations have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you so much.
Absolutely.
And now we're going to, we're just like pinch hitting here. There's so many amazing people on the team. And now we're going to invite Ursula Geiger up
Hello
to
there.
share a little bit.
What you are doing?
Hi, I'm Ursula from Switzerland, and I'm part of the expedition team. And actually, just 2 nights ago, I was out with Hilde and Sunniva and 30 other guests camping. And camping in Antarctica means it's rather cold. We had to pitch the tents in the snow. And as you month up in Svalbard, but also, of course, they have done other things before in the Arctic and Antarctic. And I crossed Greenland twice, so I know what it means to sleep in a tent in minus 30 degrees, but they are much more experienced. So we showed the guests how you pitch a tent in the snow, how you kind of put the sleeping bag, that you have to really close up the sleeping bag to stay warm at night, that you have to eat something good before you go out there. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. And actually, I think what most of us were really touched by is the silence. During the night, we were surrounded by glaciers, and it was absolutely silent unless now and then we could hear the glacier cracking because it's moving. We have another specialist who can tell you that in detail how that works with the glaciers, but We heard sounds from the glacier. We heard occasionally birds. Especially in the morning, it was extremely quiet. Many of us stood there and just looked on the water. We could see some seals swimming. And there was a single penguin, one single gentoo penguin who came to visit us late at night. Yeah, but that was the experience of sleeping outside.
It was
Thank you.
extremely fun, and the guests were so touched and moved by it.
Even though they didn't sleep much.
So you have a
Yes.
fun job on board.
Yes, we have a lot of fun working here on board in the expedition team.
Thank you, my dear.
Yes.
And now we're going to invite our last guest up, Laura Gledhill, and she is an environmental scientist on board Hurtigruten. And Laura, thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. So, as Sunniva mentioned, I am the environmental scientist on board, and actually, my specialism is glaciology. So, I get to talk to and express my knowledge on glaciers all to us on this ship. And we are, in fact, surrounded by ice where we are. We have just been outside cruising in our small expedition boats with our guests towards a glacier front. And there we saw a lot of crevasses, a lot of cracks in the ice. And unfortunately, we were not lucky enough to see some of those ice blocks falling down, which we call a carving, but we have seen that previously. So everyone was very excited to get nice and close up to the glacier front when we were out driving today. My other role on board is to help influence the Citizen Science Project and get everyone involved in those programs. And one of those is our NASA Globe Cloud Observer project, which is super easy to get involved in from the Globe Observer app from the App Store. And here we have guests observing the clouds outside using this cloud identification chart. So it's a really nice way that all the guests can get involved in science when they're down here in Antarctica.
Well, and thank you. And since this woman loves ice, let's take you all outside right now and show you where we are.
See where we are just now.
Because we are in the field, right? And this is the ship, and here is everybody that you've been chatting with just now.
And also the science center. You have to show them.
We have microscopes. We'll take you outside. You want to lead the way, Laura, and tell us?
Lead the way, absolutely.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Owen.
Once you get outside, Hilde and Sunniva, if you can hold nice and steady, because when you move, it got a little bit, the quality went down, but I think if you get nice and steady once you're outside, I think it'll clear up for us.
I'm nice and steady.
All right. We see the mountains in the background. Is that a zodiac in the water?
Yes.
And a lot of ice. Do you see all the huge glacier there, Joe?
Yeah, in the background? Absolutely. Looks like a cloudy day.
It is a cloudy day. And we'll go back inside, and we're ready for Q&A.
All right, perfect. Let me just switch our view here as you make your way back into the warm spot. All right. Well, Hilde and Sunniva, a huge shout out to all the team members who joined us to say hi and shared some of the work that they do on the ship. I think what I find most exciting is how ships like this bring together a crew, an international crew from all over the world.
It's actually astounding, and there's so many, for all the kids that are joining, there are so many opportunities for you, obviously right now, to stay and keep learning. But there are a variety of different roles and positions on board these ships that kids could actually become really proficient in and have as a career.
It's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, I can see we've got a good crew tuning in via YouTube, so don't be shy. Use that comment section. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And of course, send us in some of your questions. I'm going to start grabbing our classrooms who are on camera one by one, and we'll get them to go ahead and fire away with some questions for us. So let's see, who shall we put on the spot first? All right, we have Miss Audette's crew joining us virtually. They are from Timmins, Ontario. So let me bring Miss Audette in. I bet you they've got some Antarctica questions for us.
Hey there.
So, hi. Two of my students, Annalise and Nicholas, both were wondering about if there's people that live in Antarctica or if people have settled there before.
The answer is nobody has settled. You will never meet anybody that can shake your hand to say, hello, I'm from Antarctica. However, there are many, many people that work down here on the various bases. So most of them are seasonal, working in the summer, the austral summer, which is what we're in right now. And then there are several research stations where they overwinter.
But that's a great question.
All right, Miss Audette's crew, do you want to squeeze one more in before we go to another classroom?
And a few of them want to know how cold it is there right now.
There we are. We're back.
Oh, we lost you for a sec. They had a second question, which was, how cold is it there right now?
It's 0 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Zero
Right at zero.
Celsius.
It's colder in Canada.
Yeah, well, in different parts for sure. Right here, close to Guelph, we're at 0 degrees too today.
It was minus 20 here this morning.
Okay, colder in Timmins.
Oh,
Colder
sorry.
in Timmins. All right, great questions. We'll see if we can swing back towards the end of the event. Now we're going to go and visit Miss White's crew. They are in Ontario. There's some 3rd and 4th graders. Let me get them in front and center. I see someone waiting. How are we doing today?
Okay, let's not get silly. Okay, introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Ethan, and my question is, what do you do for entertainment in Antarctica?
Okay, let's bring in one of the expedition team for that. What do you do for entertainment in Antarctica? Owen, come here.
Laura will be better.
Laura.
Hello. So on board these boats for entertainment, we call it edutainment. So we are here educating the guests on board about everything they are seeing, from the glaciers to the whales to the birds, and we get everyone involved in science. So we conduct scientific measurements that contribute to different projects. So our entertainment here is very much science focused. We also do a range of other activities such as art corners, where people can do clay modeling, origami, knitting, and navigation workshops as well. So everything is surrounded around that polar sphere of science, knitting, wool, art, and everything is influenced by the locations we are traveling to.
Never a dull moment. Thanks, Laura.
All right, here comes another one.
Hi.
Oh, can you grab the mute? The microphone went on mute. There we go.
How cold does the water get?
Okay.
How cold does the water get?
So
Which would one of you like?
It starts to freeze at -1. So usually it starts to freeze over in maybe April, maybe, and then it's minus degrees in the water. But now I guess it's around maybe 1+ degree Celsius. So it's a cold dip if you want to swim. It's going to be very short.
Thanks for the question.
All right,
Thank
great
you.
question. And that brings me to a question before I grab some more classrooms. You talked about it being a cold dip. I know a lot of times on ships when they visit Antarctica, you can jump in. So I'm wondering, is that something you've done or planning to do before the end of this expedition?
Yeah,
one of us here just did when we had this camping. Some Ursula that you just met. Come on here.
We are
Ursula.
planning to do a polar plunge.
But also the guests can do that, right?
Yes, we try on every single cruise to do a polar plunge. That means everybody who wants can go into the water. We have a medical doctor with us just in case somebody would be in to have a problem with it. But until now, it has never happened that anybody had any problems with the cold water. But many are screaming when they go into it, but they do it. And last time we had 120 guests going into the water.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Very cool. All right.
You're next, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. Do they have dive gear on board? That's an even better question. But no, I know they probably don't. But okay. So YouTube, I'm going to go to Mr. DeCastro's crew next, but I want to grab a question from YouTube first. So let's see here. We have Miss Robinson's crew with us. And let's see. Oh, Trenton would like to know, because when we met you in the Arctic. You were doing some insect surveys as part of some of the citizen science. So they're wondering, Trenton here, or sorry, this is Quinn from Trenton, is wondering if there's any insects in Antarctica.
Well, there are. Anybody want to speak to that? The largest land predator here is kind of small, actually. Anybody want to speak to that? No, it's a mite. It's sort of like as small as a little bit the head of a tiny pin, but it's a wingless fly. It's adapted down here because the wind is we have katabatic winds. And so for that reason, the winds have evolved without, the insects have evolved without wings. How about that?
Okay, very cool.
But there's a lot living in the ocean.
Yeah, all right. Arizona, Tucson, Mr. White's crew would like to know, we know that, there's going to be no polar bears down there, but they're curious about walrus. Are they restricted to the Arctic as well, or can they be found there?
No walruses down here. But we have a lot of cool seals that could sort of maybe remind us about.
Oh, I think we froze for a second. We'll give it a moment, see if it unfreezes for us. Worst case, they might have to exit and come back in if it's really stuck. So let's just give them a... Oh, Hilde, can you hear?
Yes, can hear you. So we have leopard seals. They are big and looks a little vicious. They have this scary smile. And then we have a Weddell seal, fur seal, crab eater seal. Yes, a lot of cool seals, but no walruses.
Very cool. All right, Mr. DeCastro's crew, they are joining us in Richmond Hill. Looks like some 8th graders. Let's get them in here front and center. Hey, 8th grade.
Hi, I'm Juliana.
Hi, guys.
Hi. My question is, what's your favorite memory so far, like from the trip?
Favorite memory? Let's bring in one of the team for a favorite memory so far from your trip. Owen?
Well,
my favorite memory was certainly seeing my first ever penguin live. I'd never seen a penguin before, even in a zoo. Coming here, I saw my first penguin, and I also got sunburned, which was quite something.
That was memorable?
Yes.
That was memorable, yes. It was very painful.
Ursula, yes.
You don't often think about the sun, but it's reflecting off all that white snow. And so, yeah.
That's right.
My nose.
And
from
Ursula.
yesterday.
Yeah, I can just tell you, because I'm from Switzerland and we have mountains in Switzerland, we have glaciers, we have snow. And I also used to live in Iceland for certain years where there are big glaciers. But I must say, what really touched me when I saw it for the first time here is the glaciers are so big and there's so much snow, and it's all in a different scale compared to the countries I knew before. It's just immense what you can see here. And that's what I take with me. That's something I've never seen before. And it's like Switzerland, Iceland together multiplied with 10 or even more.
Yeah, and to me, if we should speak about what our memories are, my memories, I think seeing the Gento penguins yesterday in a colony, they steal small rocks from each other all the time to build a little nest. And that's just so funny to look at. They're just hilarious and so cute.
And I have to say, for me, it's sort of a strange thing because I was down here 30 years ago for the first time skiing to the South Pole, but I saw nothing in the interior, right? And so it's fast forward 30 years later, and I'm on board the ship with Hilde and the team as the godmother. It's just a strange sort of example of, you could never plan your life, right? You just do one thing, make it thoughtful, and then do the next best thing, and then press the repeat button. So it's surreal to be down here and actually have climate change as a hot button topic, but have it be something that we talk about in a way where we're trying to understand how each of us can play a role. So it's kind of a surreal to be here right now in that way, and a highlight. Yep.
Perfect. And I think I see someone waiting for a follow-up question.
Please. Hi, I'm Fred. How many times do you go onto the land, like in a day?
Yes, so we are, it depends a little bit about of the size of the ship and how many passengers, but usually we go ashore twice a day while we are here in the peninsula. So it's a lot of fun. Today we have had a Zodiac cruise amongst the whales around here, and yesterday we had 2 trips on shore with a lot of penguins. Yes, twice a day. Very active.
Yeah, that's my kind of cruise where you're just jumping off and seeing things and jumping in the Zodiacs, jumping in the water. Good times. Okay, we have 4th graders in Ohio joining us. Let me bring them in front and center. Here they come. Hey, 4th graders, how are you doing today?
Hello.
Hey guys.
So I want to know. I know they're pretty deep, but have you ever seen colossal squids or any type of squid?
Seen any squids? Squids. No. Let's bring in Laura here to tell you about squids.
Hello.
Look
So
at their pictures.
that is a beautiful picture. We actually have not seen any squid down here, but what we do have on board is our underwater drone. So we do have the ability to explore the underworld water of Antarctica, and we've seen lots of different types of seaweed, some sea stars, and other underwater creatures. So no squids, but we have been able to explore the underwater world.
Do you have a drone handy by any chance? Get out.
Oh, I think we might have had a little freeze. We're going to see if we can get one more question from your crew, but we'll just give it a second for the camera to unfreeze for us. I love all those signs. Very, very cool.
Cool. And thank you all for your beautiful artwork there.
Go ahead, Mace.
Have you ever been hit with ice?
Look at this. This is an underwater drone.
Have you ever been
Hit by ice? What do you mean? Iceberg? Or us?
I have a question.
Oh, there's the drone. We can
So
see the
if-
drone. That's cool.
Yes.
Yep. And how long is the line for the drone?
Over 100 meters, so we
So-
can get pretty far.
Over 100 meters, so the drone can go very deep and quite far away from the Zodiac.
But
Really,
according to
really
your question about the ice, so if you saw the little time lapse from Owen just now, that we were in those 2 small boats, so we were very close to an iceberg that tipped around, and this has the highest class, so it can actually go through a little bit of actually quite a lot of ice. Was that answer your question?
All right, we lost the last little part of that, Sunniva. Or sorry, Hilda. We lost the last little part of that.
Okay, so if you saw the time lapse earlier, we were in the 2 small Zodiacs together with Laura here for the science work when that iceberg tipped around. So, and we have been even with the Zodiacs or out on the open ocean here, we go through small bits of ice all the time, and this ship has the highest class ice chart class, so we can go through ice if we have to.
All right. So I have a feeling I know why we got that colossal squid question, because next week we are connecting with a scientist who has an expedition coming up where they're going to use underwater cameras to try and record them for the first time in their natural deep habitat. So we're going to meet.
Fantastic. When is that called, Joe?
That is next week. Let me just confirm the date. I believe it's the 26th at 2 o'clock Eastern. Let me double check. Yeah, 26th at 2 o'clock Eastern, the Colossal Squid Expedition.
Wow,
They built this
fantastic.
really cool underwater baited camera. And with any luck, they will reveal the colossal squid to the world in its natural habitat. That would be really, really cool. All right. Let us bring in our last camera classroom. Joining us from Boulder, Colorado, some 3rd graders. Here they come. Hey, Flatirons, how we doing?
Hi, guys.
Hi.
You're on mute.
Hi, everybody. We're so excited to see everybody.
Hey.
Olivia is here.
Hey, Olivia.
Hi.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, have you ever, or anybody or other people, have you discovered any ocean viruses or bacteria that can harm sea creatures?
Have we discovered any viruses or bacteria that can harm? Let's bring in our Chris.
Hi, Olivia. We personally on this ship have not discovered any, and that's a good thing. But we do know there are diseases that could potentially harm a lot of.
Oh no. Sorry, it's
Let's give it a second and see if it comes back to us. I know we got the first part that they haven't personally discovered any themselves, but it does sound like there are some potential bacteria or viruses. So let's just give it a second.
Okay.
Let's not
Now we
forget.
have a second question.
Yeah, we'll definitely get your second question too. And just as a reminder to the classrooms, how lucky we are to be able to connect somewhere so remote.
Yeah.
Every year it gets better and better and better. And we've had a really good connection so far, but they are in one of the most remote places on the planet. Like we learned, nobody lives there permanently. There's no settlements.
Eyes up here.
Yeah, we've got the stations where people can spend time and do science. Oh, looks like they got booted from the call. So hopefully
They come back in. They'll come back in.
Oftentimes when they come back in, the connection is really good for the first portion. So we should be able to get in our last couple questions before we wrap up for today. We've got them back.
Hey. Sorry.
Hello. There we go. Hey, I was just telling the crew we're connecting from Antarctica, so it's amazing we can even do this. So it's pretty awesome.
Absolutely phenomenal. But Olivia, did you hear the answer to your question? We haven't found any viruses on this ship, but we know that there are some in the ocean, and we are doing our best to stop them. In all sorts of whales and dolphins and seals and penguins.
And maybe you can tell Olivia and the rest a little bit what kind of precautions we take with the rubber boots and all that.
We actually do a lot of precautionary things to prevent the spread of potential diseases and bacteria from one landing site to another. We have very specific chemicals that we have to step our little boots through when we get back on from a landing site. So it kills any bacteria on the boots, and that way we don't take them to another landing site. This year, we are not even allowed to sit down when we're on land because we don't want any of our clothes touching the snow or anything like that. And that is to prevent what's going around right now called avian flu. We don't want to spread it to any of the penguin colonies down here. So we have to be very, very careful about what we do and what we bring ashore.
And we also wash the shoes and wash the clothes and vacuum them.
Yes, I wish we could take you down to our tender pit. It's in operation right now, but we have this big machine. It's almost like a car that people walk for. So everything is.
You guys sound like robots.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
All right, let's squeeze in that second question.
Which animals are having the hardest time adapting to climate change in Antarctica?
That's a great question. We might just have to wait a moment to get it answered. We'll see. It seems like the connection can be affected by lots of things, and even cloud coverage can affect how well they're able to connect. So I did see those nice low-hanging clouds. So that could be a factor in our connection right now. But let's give it another moment and see if it comes back naturally or if they have to exit and come back in again. But that's a great question. We'll make sure we get that in for sure. Well, we do wait for just a moment. I do want to tell our classrooms that if they want to learn a little bit more about Hilde and Sunniva's work, learn more about some past expeditions, their time at Bumsaboo, some of the citizen science that they worked on, you can visit their website. It's heartsintheice.com. I'm going to pop that up right here. We'll put it up there too. There we go, heartsintheice.com. They disappeared, so that's a good thing. That means they know something's wrong. And so hopefully we can get them in and get that question answered. We're pretty close to the end time for the event as well. We might squeeze in another question from YouTube. But then we'll also wrap up and let the crew get back to their adventures on the ship. And then maybe they'll send us a picture of the polar plunge or a video. I'd like to hear if they're nice and calm and cool, or if maybe they shout out a little bit when they jump into the water.
Woo!
So we'll give it another second here and see if they can reconnect. They might also message me on WhatsApp as well. Sometimes that can be a little bit easier when the connection's not cooperating. So let me just check my WhatsApp really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
It would be nice if we could get that last question in, and then we can do a nice big shout out, a big goodbye and thank you. And then, yeah, it was great to have a chance to visit Antarctica today.
Everybody. Okay.
And as you can see, the connection doesn't always
Work.
operate in a remote place. Where weather and sometimes even the direction of the ship. If the ship moved on its anchor, that can even play a role in our connectivity. So let's give it a moment here. And I'm going to send them a WhatsApp message as well. And see, maybe too, if they can reconnect, I'll bring them back on just by voice and WhatsApp.
That's a good idea.
And we can wrap up that way. So we won't get to see their smiling faces, maybe. But we could maybe wrap up the event that way. That could be a good way to do it if we can get their voices via WhatsApp. So bear with me for a moment. A huge shout out to the classrooms today for all the great questions. Thanks for being with us and spending some of your day with us. But we want to try to wrap this up in as much style as we can with the connectivity that we have. So let's see. Let me see. I might even just try to call myself and see if it'll go through. So let's see. Fingers crossed that we can have that.
Fingers and toes.
By voice.
We answer Oliver's question. Last question.
Everything crossed.
All right.
Everything crossed.
Everything crossed. That's good. That'll help.
Ready?
Cross the leg. Cross your toes.
Yes. We're crossing our toes.
And cross your legs and cross your arms.
We're crossing our eyes. We're crossing our eyes.
All right. No question. We are going to get your question answered. It may be they'll have to email that answer to us. But yeah, they're not picking up via WhatsApp. So either the connectivity is really poor right now, or their phone isn't close by. So yeah, maybe we'll give it another minute. But then I probably after another minute, I don't want to keep everybody waiting. And hoping if we're not going to be able to reconnect, we will absolutely get that question answered for Colorado.
Do they have an email, Joe? Do they have an email address?
Yeah. We'll get them to send that answer and we'll get it to you.
Cool.
But yeah, we'll give it one more minute and then I think I'll turn everybody loose because.
One more minute, guys. Hang in there. Cross fingers.
Cross all your hair.
Activity
could. You want to do it one more time?
I will bring in a few groups just to say, hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Colorado, our group in Timmins who are having that nice weather. Then we've got our group in Ohio.
That's the camera you can.
With us today, Miss White's group. Thanks for hanging out with us. But it looks like we're going to be out of luck. The connection must be down a little harder. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. I will send the answer to everybody to that question. Which animals, which species are being affected the most by climate change? What I can tell you is it's really kind of interesting because as things warm closer to the continent, you have species that couldn't be there that are moving further south. So that causes trouble as they're interacting in ecosystems they never have before. And then the same thing, species that need that little bit colder temperature are being pushed a little more south. So there's definitely impacts being felt in the ocean and on the land with species kind of extending their territory or losing some of their territory as the weather changes. So again, a shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out Hearts in the Ice. We'll definitely have more events with them as the school year continues. But for now, we are going to sign off. Thanks so much, everyone.